Hello. Welcome to our A Course in Miracles Study Groups series on the characteristics of God's teachers. In our last video, we discussed God's teachers and the first characteristic of God's teachers, trust. We trust the truth of the Holy Spirit within our mind. Our trust in truth strengthens as we become willing to seek a miracle, to choose the Holy Spirit in our mind, to forgive, and to change our thinking about ourselves, others, and the world. It is our belief and trust in the ego that denies this truth. As teachers of God, as we remember that our task is to deny this denial of truth, we can change our belief in our ego, our specialness, our body, our world, and remember who we really are. When we believe and trust in the truth, we are graced with other gifts to share as God's teachers. The second characteristic of God's teachers is honesty.
All other traits of God's teachers rest on trust. Once that has been achieved, the others cannot fail to follow. Only the trusting can afford honesty, for only they can see its value. Honesty does not apply only to what you say. The term actually means consistency. There is nothing you say that contradicts what you think or do. No thought opposes any other thought. No act belies your words. And no word lacks agreement with another.
Honesty in form, in what we say, think, and do, comes from honesty in content, what we believe. When we choose to believe the lies of the ego, our content, our thinking, is dishonest because the ego denies the truth. And then we live dishonestly. We are not consistent with who we really are, the self that is God's Son. We live in the ego's world of separateness, fear, and conflict. But if we are consistent with the truth of the Holy Spirit, there is nothing to contradict, to oppose, or to disagree with. We see through the illusions. As we get firmly anchored in the truth, we will see only Christ and feel only love.
Such are the truly honest. At no level are they in conflict with themselves. Therefore, it is impossible for them to be in conflict with anyone or anything. The peace of mind which the advanced teachers of God experience is largely due to their perfect honesty. It is only the wish to deceive that makes for war. No one at one with himself can even conceive of conflict. Conflict is the inevitable result of self-deception, and self-deception is dishonesty.
How do I deceive myself? The Course says, by placing my faith in nothing, the illusion of the ego, I deceive myself. I deceived myself by believing the lies of the ego, that I am separate from God, and that I am not who I truly am. By choosing separateness and specialness in the illusion of my split mind, I place myself in conflict with who I am, and then I project this conflict onto everything and everyone around me. The Course teaches us that whenever we're in conflict, it is our responsibility to watch very carefully to see what it is we are really asking for. And we strive to be very honest with ourselves in this. If we would bring our secrets, all our ego beliefs, to the Holy Spirit and ask for His miracle of forgiveness, we would learn the truth and be given the honesty of a teacher of God.
There is no challenge to a teacher of God. Challenge implies doubt, and the trust on which God's teachers rest secure makes doubt impossible. Therefore, they can only succeed. In this, as in all things, they are honest. They can only succeed because they never do their will alone. They choose for all mankind, for all the world and all things in it, for the unchanging and unchangeable beyond appearances, and for the Son of God and His Creator. How could they not succeed? They choose in perfect honesty, sure of their choice as of themselves.
Let's look at the next characteristic of a teacher of God: tolerance.
God's teachers do not judge. To judge is to be dishonest, for to judge is to assume a position you do not have. Judgment without self-deception is impossible. Judgment implies that you have been deceived in your brothers. How then could you not have been deceived in yourself? Judgment implies a lack of trust, and trust remains the bedrock of the teacher of God's whole thought system. Let this be lost, and all his learning goes. Without judgment are things equally acceptable, for who could judge otherwise? Without judgment are all men brothers, for who is there who stands apart? Judgment destroys honesty and shatters trust. No teacher of God can judge and hope to learn.
Just as the Course teaches us that forgiveness sees no sin, that nothing happened in truth, tolerance shows us there is nothing to judge, no one to condemn. Once again, as a characteristic of God's teachers, tolerance is more than the form or our behavior that would say, I will tolerate and accept our differences. It is rather the content in our mind. Do we see separation and differences through the eyes of the ego, and then judge, condemn, and attack? Or do we see the world through the truth of the Holy Spirit, seeing there are no differences? The Course links judgment to dishonesty and lack of trust. For with judgment, we separate ourselves from others and then project conflict onto them. With judgment, we believe and trust in the lies of the ego, denying the truth. Tolerance is the release of all judgment. It rests on the truth of seeing who I really am shining in you. Trust shows us the truth. Honesty shows us the will of God. Tolerance shows us the face of Christ. What better gifts could we ask for?